5 straight wins, looking to make it 6 against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. We have done our 3 keys to the game. Now we need to look at exactly how the Falcons can stub the Patriots' toe this week. No better person to bring in than Garrett Chapman of 92.9 The Game and the Falcons on Sports Illustrated. Garrett, I know this has been a long time, and I know you've probably heard a lot about this week, but is there still a little animosity between the Falcons and seeing the Patriots on the schedule? It's been 9 years.
No, there's absolutely a little animosity. There will always be animosity until they win a Super Bowl. No, we still think about that 2017 game too. They game up in the fog and everything.
Fog, yeah.
That was a tough game. We don't really have a great history together. Let's just put it that way. I still have a Matt Ryan jersey back in that closet over there. It's got the L1 on it. I can't wear it. So absolute bummer. But you know what? At the end of the day, we got to move on. But easier when you win. Not quite when you blow a 28-3 lead.
That is a big time bummer, man. I get you. There is a youth medium Teddy Bruschi Super Bowl 42 jersey that's gone to someone less fortunate. You just can't wear it after that. No. You just know the pain and what had come from it. But it's 9 years later. It's 9 years later.
But it was a one shot, man. I mean, looking in hindsight, it's just one of those tough things. But you know what? You live and you learn. And I was in college when all that went down. That was a tough night. So
was I. We were much younger men, Garrett. But talking about this Sunday, it's a hot Patriots team. It's been a Falcons team that has been really up and down. A lot of Jekyll and Hyde. I think maybe the biggest benefit is that they are facing a good team in the Patriots, but they got to get healthy first. So first off, what's the word? Michael Penix, Drake London, are they playing this week?
I would think that they will be. So the thing with Raheem Morris, he's kind of not very loose with his information. Let's put it that way. It was everything with Michael Penix. He was playing up until very late on Friday, and then Saturday, that's when you officially got word that Kirk Cousins was likely going to be the guy. So it wasn't, and I don't think that they really had an inclination necessarily, but it's a bone bruise that he's dealing with in his knee, and that's just something that it hurts. It's really, really painful, and it was in his plant leg too. So that's where it gets kind of difficult there for him, and he didn't progress the way that they wanted him to. So far, so good this week. It looks like he should be still good to go when it comes to Sunday. But Drake London, he was also another one of those guys who jumps onto the injury report on Saturday. I know I was covering Georgia Tech football at the time, and I got a random text message from somebody saying, "Is Drake London's not playing? What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh crap!" And that's kind of everything went off the rails at that point, and everything kind of went south. But no, this was it's an injury plagued team, and the injury report is pretty full. Fortunately for them, the DNPs, the did not practices, there were none yesterday, so they were all limited. But the groups of limited players are several starters, so it's pretty deep in that regard. But I'm expecting that they should be relatively healthy. But we'll get more information as of today.
And Penix, man, a bone bruise for guys of advanced age like that. It's difficult for a guy who's like older than us. It's difficult to come back from, trust me. But looking at that, obviously the proof was kind of in the pudding last week for what I'm about to ask you. But how much of a difference does that make when it's Penix under center than Kirk Cousins?
I don't think it's as big of a difference as the score line might have indicated. Okay. I think the issues that came weren't necessarily at the quarterback position per se. Kirk didn't look good. You can look at the score and tell that he didn't look good. You can watch any of the game and you can tell how poor he played. But it all comes down to the offensive line, and Raheem Morris effectively laid it on their shoulders throughout the course of this week. This is a veteran offensive line. They entered the season as one of the expectations of being one of the better units in the NFL, and they have been at times. You go back to what they did against the Buffalo Bills just a couple of weeks ago. And you look at the Minnesota Vikings, the game that they had in that one, they have the potential of unlocking and unleashing really a relentless offensive attack with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier in that rushing game. But it just hasn't really come together consistently. And Raheem Morris laid that on their shoulders and effectively blamed them for the loss. But if they come out and they put together a good performance, I got my dog in the background. Sorry about that.
I get that. It's a run. It's a risk I run every day.
Every day. Yeah. But this is something where if you run the football effectively, then the Falcons have give themselves a chance to win. Like if they hit 100 yards rushing, they're 3-1 on the season. If they don't, they're 0-3. That's pretty much what this game is going to come down to. And I know the New England Patriots have a pretty good rush defense.
Yeah, best rush defense in the NFL, which complementary to that is the team on the other side. The Falcons have the best pass defense in the NFL, but last week was a bit of a struggle. You know, Tua comes in having a Tua year. In fact, the last good game you'd had before that was, I believe, against the Patriots. Back-to-back weeks of 3+ picks. And then he goes out and throws 4 touchdowns against the Falcons last week, has a passer rating 50 points higher than the average that they give up. Kind of a renaissance game, so to speak, for Tua. But maybe it's just the injuries, but exactly what went wrong on the defensive side on Sunday?
Injuries. And that's really what it comes down to. For me, it's that simple. And it sounds like it's an excuse, but when you lose a guy like Divine Diablo, who has been the centerpiece of this defense, I mean, what he can physically do is not something that a lot of players in the NFL can do. I mean, he's got arms as long as Jake Matthews, our starting left tackle. He runs like a safety. He's a former safety from when he was in college. And he's as bigger than any linebacker, you know.
There's some freaks on this Falcons team. Sorry to interrupt you, but there are some freaks when you think back to Diablo and Robinson and Kyle Pitts. Even still, I'll still call him a freak. Like there are some dudes here.
Yeah, there are. But Divine was probably the most important player for this Falcons defense. Like if you had come to me and said, "Hey, Garrett, you have one player that you can't lose off of this Falcons defense, who's it going to be?" It's Divine Diablo, because of what he allows the rest of your team to do. His recovery time, when you talk about he gets back into coverage and he's able to kind of throw his arms up and be a menace. He can rush the passer effectively. He's sideline to sideline. He's pretty fast in that regard too. I mean, he was such a linchpin for this defense, and the biggest reason why they've taken off in the way that they have. This is still a steady unit, but they just missed him. JD Bertrand is the guy who stepped into his place, and you can't miss him. He's got the big helmet thing that people are wearing on their helmets nowadays, and he's just a step slow. And the Dolphins went right at him all afternoon, and I don't think it was as reflective of a performance for the Dolphins as much as it was. They just went after one guy basically, and they kept a substitution package that was going to keep him out on the field, and then they just kept kind of going after him, and the Falcons just didn't have much of an answer. He's a reserve player, and he looked like it on Sunday.
Talking with Garrett Chapman, he writes about the Falcons for Sports Illustrated. He's also on 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, where you can listen to the Falcons broadcasts every week. And looking at this game in particular on Sunday at Foxborough, 1 p.m. Eastern time, what is it that, we talk about? There's certainly some things that this Falcons team does well. It's been an issue of putting it all together and an issue with health. But what is there this week, whether it's a matchup or just a facet of the game, where you think the Falcons are actually favored and can get after the Patriots?
I think it depends on the health of the team, but I do think that the pass rush is actually something. Ironically, for the first time, I think in my lifetime, the Falcons have a pass rush. Drake Maye gets sacked a lot. He gets hit. And I think some of that is just he's a young quarterback. He likes to use his legs, and he's going to get out and move. And some teams are just going to be able to take advantage of that. But Jeff Ulbricht's a really sharp mind. He's been sending some very unique blitz packages. He's got his Brian Flores going here. And he's done a really good job this year of getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And, I mean, this guy has been very, very good. He's led this renaissance of Falcons football. And I mean, in one regard, I mean, if you can get some pressure on the young quarterback, maybe you can force a turnover or two. And that's really what this team needs. I mean, you go back to all the games that Raheem Morris has been here in Atlanta, that he wins the turnover margin, he's 8-0. That's a pretty clear sign that you need to win the turnover margin, because if you don't, it's not great here for this Falcons team. So if you're facing a younger quarterback and you're able to get some pressure, maybe you can force a mistake. Maybe you can punch that ball out. That's probably their best hope of potentially going out and shaking them up and getting an upset.
If you needed another reason to win the turnover battle, there it is right there.
Yeah.
There it is. Let's talk about Raheem Morris a little bit. If they lose this week, are we like death marching to the end of the Raheem Morris era?
In my personal opinion, yes, but I don't think that you're going to have a lot of moves necessarily, unless So we have the Falcons have to go east across the Atlantic Ocean after this week. You play the Red Hot Patriots team in Foxborough. Then you got to go to Germany. You got to play the Colts. Yikes! I mean,
shorter flight.
It's a brutal 2-game stretch, and then you have to come back to Atlanta on the shortened week, and you have to play shortened just because you're coming from Europe, and you play a Carolina Panthers team who already beat you by 30 points.
Yeah,
and if you lose to a Panthers team again for a second time this season, this time in Atlanta, and that would also be potentially a 5-game losing streak in the middle of the season, then I don't see many people surviving that necessarily. I mean, this is a team who hasn't made the postseason since 2017. Ironically, like we joked about at the beginning, the last time the Falcons and Patriots played each other, that was the last season that this team made a run to the postseason or even had a winning record. So this team it's been much better of a football team than its record might indicate over the course of that time, but they're just woefully inconsistent. And whether it's injuries or anything else that stacks up on them, they just haven't been able to put a full season together and get some wins. They can't stack wins. Perfect example of that is earlier this season. You go beat the Commanders, you go beat the Buffalo Bills, and you look dominating in both of those games. Then you flip the script and the 49ers kill you. I think they dominated that football game. You weren't really able to get much going on offense. And then what happened last week? 24-point blowout loss to the Miami Dolphins, and just an inexcusable loss to the Miami Dolphins. So, I mean, as far as what Raheem Morris's future looks like, I mean, not good, I would say. If you're able to go to Foxborough and get a win, I think that would kind of flip your fortunes a little bit. I think you got to go 1-1 in these next 2 games, because if you lose both, your odds of going to the postseason or even having a winning record are very, very slim.
Yeah, it just sounds like all those things add up to a coach getting fired, right? Like that's all the classic things, we talk about they've got freaks on this team. There's clearly some talent. Quarterbacks come along fairly nicely, right? Like, and it's just, and you beat good teams, you lose to bad teams. Like that is just a perfect combination for a fan base wanting a coach out anyway.
And it's also the fact that you're on a general manager who's on a second head coach. So when Thomas Dimitroff was fired back in 2021 alongside of Dan Quinn, when that happened, you go and you bring in Raheem Morris, you bring in Arthur Smith, and you bring in Terry Fontenot. And Terry, I mean, he's done okay, I would say. He's been fine. I'd say they overachieved early. And then Arthur Smith got fired. And in the NFL, you don't get 2 head coaches. You certainly don't get 3. And so it's based off of that timeline. You haven't been able to get the results. And if you move on from Terry Fontenot, then there's no way that you're going to retain Raheem Morris, because you're going to have a new general manager and you're going to have a new guy who wants his own guy. So that's just the timeline. It's just a little unfair, I would say, to Raheem Morris, but that's the nature of the NFL.
You want to play a little what if game real quick?
Happy to,
if I may. Now that we're talking about Raheem Morris, and I know you cover the Ramblin' Wreck, so you know quite a bit about ACC football. You've seen it this year. If we went back in the time machine to early 2024 and look at the other coach that got a couple of interviews for the Atlanta Falcons, how different would we be now if Bill Belichick was the Falcons coach instead of Raheem Morris?
Oh my God. Well, we talking about what's her name? What's
Jordan, of course.
Jordan, whatever her face is. No.
Yeah.
That'd be
the Chick-fil-A in the stadium be open on Sundays. Demand it. Yeah.
Oh Lord. No, that is they dodged a bullet. Let's just put it that way. I have all the respect in the world as any person or fan of the game who respects everything that Bill Belichick was and is and everything else. But him coming to Atlanta would have been a bad marriage. Not even just because of 28-3 and there's some animosity. There are a lot of people in the city who don't even want to, they were pissed off that they even interviewed him. But it would have been a toxic situation. And I don't think that Bill Belichick's best days are in front of him. Certainly. I don't think he has many really good days in front of him at all, and all due respect to him. I know he just really wants to go get Don Shula's all-time wins record. That's really what it came back to. And Arthur Blank, he's a good owner. He's a good man. But there are also some other people in the room who I heard did not want Bill Belichick to come in and kind of take over like he has a tendency of doing. And I don't think that it would have been a good marriage at all. So I'm grateful it didn't happen. I'm a big fan of Raheem. I mean, I don't want anybody else, any of your listeners or anything like that, to think anything different. He's a good guy. I think he deserves a good shot. He's a good football coach, and the players love him. And I'm glad that they went and got Raheem Morris. It's just, you got to win, man. You got to win, and that's really what it comes back to. But thank God it wasn't Bill. That's all I
Yeah, that would have been fascinating because, like, it wouldn't be as bad as Carolina, just because in college football you can really kind of bottom out like that if you don't have a roster. But, like, I don't think it would have been good. And at that point, like, when you're voting for the Hall of Fame, you probably don't really care about what he did at UNC. Like, it's in the back of your mind, but you don't really care. But if he fails in Atlanta, then it becomes like a George Seifert situation where you're like, did this guy just coach himself out of the Hall of Fame by having this terrible stretch in Atlanta? Would have been hilarious and would have made for quite a buildup this week. I mean, quite a buildup if it was still Bill Belichick there. Last question for you, Garrett. Looking ahead at this game on Sunday, I'm not going to ask for score prediction or anything, but what needs to go right for the Falcons to stop the Patriots winning streak?
You got to run the football. You got to run the football. And I mean, that's what's going to decide this game. It's going to dictate everything. If the Falcons are able to run the ball, they're going to give themselves a chance to win. I mean, the best player on the field, on either side of the field, is Bijan Robinson. And I mean, he is, Raheem Morris has called him the best player in football. I believe him. It's just, he hasn't had an opportunity to get going in these last 2 weeks. And when the Falcons get him going, he is, and this offense explodes. I mean, they've shown the capability of doing those things. It's just, ever since that first half ended against when Drake London's pushed out of bounds against the Buffalo Bills, they haven't really been the same. And a lot of that comes back to their ability to get Bijan going. And if you can do that, I think they can run with just about any team in the NFL. It's a question about doing it. And the thing is, it's not just running the football too with Bijan. This is a guy who can get going in a lot of different ways, right? I mean, he can hit swing passes. They actually worked him out when he was coming up through the process. They worked him out as a wide receiver. You know, I mean, the guy is as versatile a player as there is in the NFL. And if they can get him up to over his 100 scrimmage yard type of mark, where he was averaging about 150 scrimmage yards per game, which is just nuts to think about in the NFL. But that's what he was averaging. And if you can get him back to that, then the Falcons will have a good opportunity to win this game. It's just Vrabel, man. That's a good coach. And he knows, and you talk about Bill Belichick and the guy who knows how to take away the best player on an opposing team. That's what Vrabel's going to be looking at. I saw in practices, you guys had multiple guys wearing the number 7.
Yep.
And it's not for no good reason. Let's put it that way. He's going to be the best player on the field on Sunday. He'll be the best player on the field just about any time he plays. But Falcons got to get him going. If they don't get him going, it's going to be a long day.
Hey, this is an interesting matchup in that the Falcons beat good teams. Mike Vrabel's reputation for beating good teams and losing to bad teams. So Falcons are somewhere in between right now. But you could legitimately have the NFL MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year playing in this game. Like, maybe. If it happened right now, one of Drake Maye or Bijan Robinson is winning MVP and the other is winning Offensive Player of the Year. So you could well have that. Garrett, we will have some Patriots fans looking for more Falcons coverage before we get to Sunday. So real quick, before we get you out of here, how can people find your work? Yeah, just give me a follow at GChatBTL. That's the best place to stay up to date on everything that we got coming out. We got a couple stories coming out here. I was just working on one earlier this afternoon. So we got something coming out that I think Patriots fans will be interested in. Plus, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. I'm excited for this one, and it's a must-win for the Falcons. So you'll come out with a team kind of bruised and battered, looking to hopefully come out and do something in this game. That's what they'll be counting on. Can't wait. I know Patriots fans are not going to be taking this lightly, especially after this. So, Garrett, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Of course. Always a pleasure. There he goes. Garrett Chapman, 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, as well as Sports Illustrated, Atlanta Falcons on Sports Illustrated. So check out what he's got cooking as we give you all angles of Patriots Falcons coming up on Sunday. Let me know what you think about this game in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, find us wherever you find your podcasts, and live on YouTube every weekday, high noon Eastern time, as your alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio.